morning, or depending on you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to look at a couple of new Digimon, and I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, ladies and gentlemen. These two Digimon don't have a whole heck of a lot in common. Except that we haven't talked about them yet, and I feel a little bit mean about the fact that we haven't talked about them yet. So let's have a little bit of a look at Eelektross, and a little bit of a look at Palossand. And we're going to start off with Eelektross here because it literally has my name in it. And that makes me rather happy. So we're starting off with 160 HP, which is pretty standard, honestly, for a Stage 2 Pokemon. That'll be fine. We got a retreat cost of 3, which I am not loving. It's too high to use something like Air Balloon. It's, frankly, a little bit annoying. We have got a weakness here to fighting, which again I am not loving because there's all kinds of stuff like Urshifu running around. Fighting has gained a bit of steam in the past few months. It's not a weakness we are loving. And being a lightning type isn't particularly good either because the rotation is going to really hurt the kind of tricks we've got here. There's no more Tapu Koko to accelerate energy or things of that nature. So frankly, in terms of the basics, maybe a little while ago I could have been impressed. Nowadays, it's just not all it's cracked up to be. But there is one extremely interesting attack we see here. For 1 lightning energy, you do 40 damage, not terribly exciting. But if this Pokemon evolved from Electric this turn, your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. And look, we're talking automatic paralysis here. Automatic paralysis is extremely powerful. I've told you a bunch of times on this channel, and if you're an older player, you will remember about cards like Excelgor that gave automatic paralysis and was a top tier deck. Vanillux that gave borderline automatic paralysis. It's like a 15 in 16 chance, alright? But it was borderline automatic paralysis. And saw a bunch of play and success. It got somebody a top 4 finish and an invite to Worlds in the UK. They was a good cards. So automatic paralysis on the face of it looks really good. But I have to look at this and my first reaction has to be, it's a Stage 2. And quite frankly, ladies and gentlemen, that's a problem. Because when I look at this, I get shades of Luxray. Specifically, the Luxray is actually the most recent Luxray we got. The only one that's actually come around in the Sword and Shield block. The one that came around in Rebel Clash. This is one that is I'm lying to you, we have one in Battle Styles. But the first one that came around, alright, the one from Rebel Clash. And this Pokemon, for a single lightning energy, does 60 damage. But if it evolved from Luxio during this turn, you do 100 more damage. And Luxray was a Stage 2. And that's important. Because if we're going to make Eelektross work, we're going to want Luxray to have worked. And I'll tell you something for nothing. I saw a bunch of Luxray decks. I played against a bunch online on PTCGO. There is a possibility here. The problem is Luxray has something that Eelektross doesn't. And that is the Luxio with top entry. Top entry says that if you draw it as your card for the turn, you can just bench it as a Stage 1. Bearing in mind we've got Oranguru, so if you draw it at any other point, you can use Oranguru to put it on top of your deck, and then you will draw it as your turn at the beginning of your next turn, and then you're good to go. So sure, Luxray kind of worked, but Luxray had Luxio, and even then, Luxray is not a top deck, and that is a huge problem. The other thing is, it specifically must have evolved from Electric, not Dynamo. Which means you cannot be playing around with rare candy shenanigans. You've got to evolve up as a Stage 2, and you've got to evolve up manually. And that's a bit of a problem. If you can get going, this is awesome, because obviously we got Scoop up there. And the theory here is that you've essentially got a Dynamo and an Electric on the bench. You evolve Electric into Eelektross, get the Paralysis and the 40 damage, and you evolve the Dynamo into an Electric. Next turn, you scoop up net, and your electric turns into an Eelektross, your Dynamo turns into an electric, you bench your Dynamo, and round we go, getting paralysis every turn. The problem is you've only got 4 Scoop Up Net in your deck, and you're only doing 40 damage with the paralysis, and frankly, I don't think it's going to work. As a stage 1, as a cheeky tech, I love it, but as a stage 2, only doing 40 damage, it's not enough damage, it's too slow, I don't think it's going to work. The second attack, Lightning Double Colorless 160 plus 30 to yourself, this is alright. It's not amazing, it's alright. Because what you essentially do is you get paralysis, and then next turn you attach Twin Energy and hit for 160, so you mitigate the low damage. It essentially turns into 200 damage over 2 turns. At that stage, yes. Okay. That we can get, well, maybe a little bit excited about. I still don't think it's great, incidentally, but it's at least slightly better. I think I'm going to have to go and give Electric free Wassies. I just don't think it's quite good enough. Free Energy 160 is fine, but on a stage 2, that is nothing special. And as good as Automatic Paralysis is, and it is good, in a world where Luxray hitting 160 and having the top entry Luxio couldn't really break out and be a top deck, I'm not sure that this can. I'm sorry. But the good news is we have a Palossand we can have a little bit of a look at as well, and maybe Palossand will save us. So here, and I should mention our translations come from the lovely Antoine Boulet, and what we've got here is 140 HP, which is high for a stage 1, retreat cost of 4, which is high, resistance to fighting, which is lovely, because it means something like a Gale Thrust from a Rapid Strike Urshifu will actually not get a KO. Yay! And a weakness to darkness, which is probably alright, to be honest with you. My biggest worry here would have been Spiritomb, but Spiritomb has gone and rotated out. Of course, we have got that new Morpeko that looks pretty good. So, Morpeko does kind of look like new Spiritomb. So, I don't know. Maybe be a little bit scared of that new Morpeko. Incidentally, that new Morpeko is still properly on my radar. That is a Wassie card if ever I've seen one. And as a Psychic Pokemon, you are hitting weakness against stuff like Urshifu, which is kind of cool. Now, the first attack here, Free Energy 120, no. Just no. It will get Urshifu V, which is nice, but it won't get Urshifu V Max. It's Free Energy. Now, maybe if we go back in time and we've got Malamar and we can accelerate Psychic Energy super easily with Malamar, then maybe I can get in on this. But the fact of the matter is we don't have Malamar now, and even if we did, is this really the best we could do? Free Energy 120 on a stage 1? Nah, let's move on. What else we've got here is 4 Energy if your opponent's active Pokemon is a basic Pokemon, instant KO. Oh, well, that's kind of fun. It's Takeout. Takeout is back. Now, I suppose for newer players, I probably should explain this. Machamp had Takeout back when it came around in Stormfront, and it was one of the very best cards we've ever seen. It was flat out over the top phenomenal. 1 energy, 40 damage, but against a basic Pokemon, it was an automatic KO. The thing is, basic Pokemon were big back then, and we also had cards like Rare Candy, and what Rare Candy used to do was let you use it the turn you played a Pokemon. So you could go basic Candy Stage 2 in 1 turn. We also had Broken Time Space, which would allow you to evolve up whenever you darn well felt like it, so you could get a turn 1 Machamp going really easily, attach 1 energy, and start rolling. It donked a lot of people, and it was a great deck. Was a bit rubbish against evolved Pokemon, but you would play it with other things and you'd probably be okay. It was a top tier deck. And this is a stage 1, not a stage 2. But we don't have the turn 1 evolution that Machamp had, and instead of 1 energy, it's 4 energy. How are you getting the 4 energy on here? And I know that there are ways, and I'm just not even going to bother with it. 4 energy is far far too expensive. It's not going to work. I love the attack, but it's not going to work. If we had some kind of let psychic Pokemon attack for free kind of thing, yes. Absolutely yes. But we don't. If I can find a way to use this attack for free or for a single energy, I am going to become very excited about this. You are going to see an excited Wossie. But we don't have that, ladies and gentlemen, so Wossie's excitement is frankly muted compared to where it could have been, and I'm sorry about that, but the reality is I just don't think this is a good enough card. I really like the attack. I think there is a huge amount of potential, but for 4 energy, it's not going to work. I need a way to use this more easily, and as it stands at the moment, I just don't have one. I am sorry. So I'm going to have to give this between 2 and 3 Wossies. We don't give half Wossies. That would be barbaric. I desperately want somebody to prove me wrong here. That would be amazing. But unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, I just don't see it happening. But I'd like to know what you think. So let me know in the comment section, would ya? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.